on the wall. The bar was called Apocalypse Now, by the way. And on the wall was a surfboard with Charlie Don't Surf painted right underneath it. Very uncomfortable.
All right, so everybody can hear once again, we're back in business. All right. We'll be out of here in a moment. And just a reminder again, I gotta turn off the mics for the takeoff and departure. Everybody ready? All right, here we go. Alright guys, we're leaving Hilo behind us. Leaving Kilauea behind us, and we find ourselves once again flying along the slopes of Mauna Kea. Earlier in the flight we saw the dry side of Mauna Kea, now we're going to see the wet side. This is a beautiful part of the island known as Hamakua.
This is what you thought you'd be seeing the whole time, Sarah.
Are we a little disappointed you flew into the Kona airport and it was all lava rock?
She always wanted to go to the moon, so that's
yeah.
kinda where we were.
Yeah, so I guess this is a little bit more up Sarah's alley then. Now there's a reason why it's so green over here, Sarah. Lots of rain. So again, what you're seeing weather-wise, unusually clear and sunny. You go to any Hawaiian island, you're going to find the east side of that island is going to be windier, cloudier, rainier, and greener than the west side. It's because of the influence of the trade winds. The trades are almost always blowing here, and the trades generally blow from east to west. So,
is that the lee side or not?
Well, the windward side would be the east side, and then the leeward would be the west side, yeah. Leeward, downwind, windward, upwind, basically. So, the Big Island has a greater difference between windward and leeward, wet and dry, because we have the tallest volcanoes. They present the largest obstacle to the trade wind-driven moisture being blown from east to west across the islands. So, bigger volcanoes, more difficult for the moisture to get up and over. So on the Big Island, most of that moisture gets stuck over here. And I think I might have mentioned this earlier. Maybe I did. Hilo behind us, rainiest city in the U.S. So as we're going to pass through Hamakua on our way to Kohala. Looking down into your left, you'll see some small streams, some small pretty waterfalls as those streams stair-step down the hill and empty into the ocean. What I'm going to show you once we get up to Kohala is going to make everything through here look pretty small by comparison. Kohala has the deepest valleys, tallest sea cliffs, tallest Big Island waterfalls. So we'll just pass through here as quickly as we can in order to have more time to spend up in those valleys. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. We go grandma's house on that weekend, clean your cars. If we don't go, grandma gotta work hard. You know my grandma, she like the boy real sour. All about grandma every minute, every hour on the island. We do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. Yeah, so William, I think you were asking about the space observatories. Every once in a while, just take a glance up the hill to your left front, and hopefully we get a little bit further to the northwest. We'll get past some of those clouds, and you ought to be able to start seeing at least a few of the space observatories. Yeah, the Mauna Kea Summit's the best place on Earth for astronomy. We have 13 observatories up there representing 11 different countries. So if you think about it, science is a pretty big industry here on the Big Island. Probably no better place in the world to be for astronomers and astrologers, thanks to the Mauna Kea observatories, and for volcanologists as well. 30 years of eruption to study at Kilauea. Of course, tourism, that's our #1 industry. So let me just thank you all for coming. We do appreciate it. Any questions earlier in the flight that I might have missed because of radio traffic you guys want to give me another shot at? Or am I pretty much caught up? I think we're good then, okay. Or no, it's Troy. I think Troy, you're asking about the observatories, yeah. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. On the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side. The Hawaiian Islands are the most isolated and remote islands on the planet. The Hawaiian Island chain's over 2,400 miles from any major landmass. Almost in the middle of the Pacific, a little bit closer to North America than Asia. Because the islands are so remote, people haven't been living here very long. Polynesians, of course, discovered and began to settle these islands first, and that occurred less than 2,000 years ago. And as far as the Western world is concerned, we had no idea Hawaii was here until 1778. Captain Cook of the Royal British Navy gets credit for discovering these islands from a Western world perspective.
Didn't end so well for him.
That's right. Exactly right. An unfortunate end to a very distinguished career in life. Right here on the Big Island, killed at Kalakakua Bay. You guys been over there? No, just familiar with Captain Cook.
That's why if he would have left the first time, he'd have been okay.
That's right. So there's a monument to him, the Captain Cook Monument at Kalakakua Bay. And there's a town named after him here, Captain Cook, Hawaii. If you enjoy snorkeling or scuba diving, right off the Captain Cook Monument, it's probably the best spot on the whole island. Incredible visibility, like 90 to 100 feet deep. Nice coral reef, lots of vibrantly colored tropical fish. Sometimes you see sea turtles and spinner dolphins there. Okay, there's Maui. 11 o'clock. You see it more clearly above that low cloud layer than below.
Don't worry, we'll be fine if we just wait. Let's try to relate.
So that's nearest neighbor island to us. Less than 30 miles from the northern tip of the island to the south shore of Maui.
Oh yeah. The clock ticks faster on these days. Yeah. And ticking talks the way can love crashes. Let's try to relate. In a bright world, we'll be okay. Whoa, yeah. We'll be under the moonlight. Dancing away like two silhouettes in the sand. What a sight, can you see?
Considering how much rainfall you get on this side, is there ever any flooding?
You get a little, sometimes you might get a little bit of flash flooding in some of these little gulches and gullies. You got water flowing through there all the time. And again, it's erosion that's kind of carving those little gulches and gullies out. Doesn't tend to be a big problem from what I hear here on the Big Island. But yeah, every once in a while you might hear a unfortunate story where someone might have get caught in a flash flood, get washed out to sea and never seen again. But nothing too major, nothing like what's going on in Colorado right now, for example. But the potential is there. Sometimes we can get some pretty heavy, pretty torrential downpours. But I think, everything tends to kind of flow out to the ocean pretty easily, for the most part, so. But we do have some interesting assortment of natural disasters you can kind of think about here. Of course, we, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. We get significant earthquakes. Could potentially generate tsunamis, and we did get a tsunami after the Japan earthquake a couple years ago. It was a relatively minor tsunami given the magnitude of, you know, what occurred over there. Affected the Kona side, the side facing Japan. A lot of damage done, but we have a pretty sophisticated tsunami warning system in place, so we get a pretty good heads up. I don't think I'll ever forget all the tsunami horns going off on the island after the Japan earthquake. Horns started going off about 9 p.m. Hawaii time. Estimated landfall of any potential tsunami was about 3 a.m. So we got a good, you know, 6-hour notice, and that's a pretty good heads up. Time to evacuate the low-lying areas, kind of hunker down and wait to see what was going to happen. 2 major tsunamis in the last century, one in 1946 from an earthquake off the coast of Alaska, another in 1960 from an earthquake off the coast of South America. Back then they didn't have a warning system, and so there was a pretty significant loss of life here on the Big Island. Mostly in the Hilo area. And then we've got hurricanes, right? But something about, I don't know what it is, where we are, the winds, the ocean currents, I don't know what it is, but Hawaii is very, very rarely significantly affected by hurricanes. The last significant hurricane here was way back in 1992. Hurricane Iniki. Mostly damaged the northwest end of the state, Oahu and Kauai. What's interesting is they were filming Jurassic Park up there at the time. And so some of the storm footage from that movie is actual Iniki footage. We almost got a hurricane, I don't know, a couple months ago, a month or two ago. Kind of dissolved and just turned into a tropical storm, and wasn't much of a big deal for us, but had the potential. I had a local guy on board the day before we were supposed to get this hurricane, and he said, Brada, don't worry about it. Said, you don't have to worry about hurricanes unless they have Hawaiian names. The last 2, Iniki in 92 and Eva in like 80-something, the last 2 that did damage both had Hawaiian names, so. Said, don't worry if it doesn't have a Hawaiian name, it's going to be not a big deal. And he was right, so I'm just going to remember that, file that away. The next time I hear a named tropical storm in the Pacific with a Hawaiian name, that's when I'm going to start to stress a little bit. And we get earthquakes here too. The earthquakes associated with the, you know, the inner workings of some of the volcanoes. A little bit hazy over here this afternoon, but you look down and to your left, you see the sea cliffs of the Hamakua coast. Up ahead of us, you'll start to distinguish much taller sea cliffs. That'll be where Kohala begins and where the valleys begin. We're going to see Waipio Valley first. It's the easternmost, and it's one of 2 Kohala valleys you can drive to, the other being Pololu Valley on the far west side. Waipio and Pololu, those are the 2 valleys that most people see. The rest, for the most part, don't get seen by a lot of folks because they're so inaccessible. Not impossible to get to on your own, but pretty tough. You could hike from one end to the valley, one end of the valleys to the other. Just take you about a week to do it. So Waipio is the one we were talking about back at the Hilo Airport. It's the one Kohala Valley you can drive down into if you have a 4-wheel drive and you're brave enough. It's the one Kohala Valley people still live in today. So because it's occupied, we never fly in or out of Waipio. The first valley we're just going to look at from offshore. We'll make some turns so everybody can see it. Longest black sand beach in the state. My favorite place on the island to bring my family and people who visit us. It's beautiful. The ancient Hawaiians lived among the Kohala valleys in great numbers. It was those tsunamis that eventually drove them out. And back in those days when the Hawaiians were still in the valleys, many of the Hawaiian royalty had homes in Waipio, so you may hear it referred to as the Valley of the Kings. And Waipio is where Kamehameha grew up. Kamehameha is the most famous of all the Hawaiian rulers. He's the big island chief who would go on to conquer and unify the islands to form the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Are there any descendants of the Hawaiian royalty still cruising around?
Yeah, you know, I hear people say, yeah, they've got royal blood. But my understanding is no direct descendants of Kamehameha at this point. Some of the Hawaiian royalty were basically, you know, voted. They kind of went from a monarchy to sort of more of a constitutional monarchy before they got overthrown. It's a long story, but not one of our proudest moments. You can see some parallels between the Native Hawaiians and the Native Americans, unfortunately, but yeah, you'll hear people say that they've got royal blood. But again, my understanding, no direct descendants of Kamehameha left. Yeah, there's a small but very vocal minority of people here who would love to see Hawaii regain its sovereignty. Not gonna happen, but... Alright, so here we are. Welcome to Kohala. So as we make our turns offshore of Waipio, you'll see again the longest black sand beach in the state. You'll see the road cut into the left valley wall that'll take you from the cliffs above down into the valley. The paved road ends where the valley wall meets the valley floor. From there you off-road out to the beach. And you're going to see that the longest black sand beach in the state doesn't look too crowded. Come here on a weekday, you may have that beach mostly to yourself. Weather tends to build throughout the day, so if you come here, I'd recommend earlier rather than later. Small population living in Waipio, mostly off the grid, mostly without electricity, running water, or phone lines. It's a definite lifestyle choice. They're mostly taro farmers. See some pretty wet-looking fields of agriculture on the valley floor. Taro is a plant brought here by the early Polynesians, and it's what they used to make poi. You see that you got a couple cars back in the trees. That's where you basically come out to the beach and park and enjoy the beauty and the black sand and the ocean. And that road is no joke. It's an adventure just getting in and out. There's a hiking trail at your 11. You see it zigzagging up the far valley wall. So that's what you'd take if you wanted to hike from Waipio up and over the cliffs and start making your way from valley to valley. About an 8-hour hike one way will get you to the next valley. It's called Waimanu. That's where we're headed next. We're going to fly into that one and see some pretty tall waterfalls. Probably going to be a little bit bumpy, a little bit turbulent once we get into Waimanu Valley. That's typical and it's no biggie. Just makes photography more challenging. I'm trying to hold those cameras steady. Sea cliffs through here about 1,200 feet tall on average.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. So this is the Hawaii that Sarah wanted to see, right?
She's nodding her head, yeah.
All right. So the first waterfall on your right is called Wai'ilikahi. And it's about 1,200 feet tall, at least the part of it we see. There's more up above. So it's almost, but not quite as tall as the Empire State Building, just to give you a little sense of scale.
What are the little shacks behind the tree line at the water?
You know, maintenance for the campground that you find out there near the valley entrance. So you can hike over and camp out, and camping's by permit, so they have to kind of maintain it. Might have noticed some tents in addition to those little shacks. And the next waterfall really sneaks up on you. It's hidden away in that nook at your 2 o'clock. It's called Lahomene. And it's about 1,800 feet tall. Now at your 11 o'clock, it's pretty dry, just barely trickling. That's Wai'ilau. That's the Big Island's tallest waterfall. It's 2,600 feet, half a mile. Could use a little bit of rain. There's Lahomene again at your 10 o'clock. Like I said, it's a little bit turbulent in here. We're going to start to make our way out towards the valley entrance, and once offshore, the air will smooth out a bit. You guys doing okay? All right. Look at the valley floor. It's like it's alive. You can see the valley floor ripping in the wind. Rippling, rather. We get offshore, we'll see some more waterfalls right along the sea cliffs beyond Waimanu Valley, and we'll pause for some turns so everybody can see them. again, not many people get to see this. You'd think there'd be boats out here all the time enjoying this beauty, but you rarely see that. There's no good place to put a boat in the water anywhere near here. It'd be a very long and arduous boat journey. And you can see it's windy, the ocean's rough and disturbed. Wouldn't be real pleasant. Only on very rare occasions, really on the smoothest, most gentle weather days, do we tend to see pleasure boats out here. That's, you know, once in a blue moon. Next in line are a couple of shallower valleys. We'll pass by them, Honopue and Honokea, and 3 small rock islands just offshore known as Mokopuku Rocks. Beyond the rocks are the westernmost valleys, and the view from the west looking back the way we came is pretty special. So I'll take us over there, and then we'll slow down and we'll make some turns, kind of look back the way we came. So at your 11 o'clock, that's where the road ends on the west side of the valleys. That's the Pololu Valley Overlook. And you can see the hiking trail that'll take you from the cliffs above down into that valley, and it's Black Sand Beach. So again, looking at your left, the magnificent Kohala Sea Cliffs. And then out to your right are some pretty little Kohala towns, Kapa'au and Hawi, and beyond the northern tip of the island, Upolu Point. Start to head away from the valleys. We're going to pass over some cattle ranch land. Up the hill in front of us, part of it will be Kahua Ranch, part of it will be Parker Ranch. And Parker's enormous. It's the second largest privately owned cattle ranch in the United States. Parker's about 150,000 acres, almost 10% of the island. Now once we get over this ridge line, we're going to see a very rapid transition as we go from the wet side of the island back again to the dry side. Beyond the ridge line, it's like somebody flipped a switch. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. Unfortunately, the leeward side of Kohala tends to be a bit rough, so again, gotta plan on a little bit of turbulence. You know what turbulence is, though? It's just a little extra fun, a little extra thrill thrown in at no extra charge, okay? I will do my best to mitigate it. Little rainbow out your left. No rain, no rainbows, right? So there's practically a line on the ground, right? Behind us is green, below us, brown. Like somebody flipped a switch. Nice view of Maui. 12 to 1 o'clock. So what a difference a few miles makes. Fewer than 10 miles, you go from 200 inches of rain a year back to about 10. Down at your 1 to 2 o'clock on the coast, that's Kauai High Harbor. And then beyond it, we see the Kohala and Kona Coast Resorts. From near to far, the ones we're going to pass by on our way back to the heliport are the Mauna Kea, Hapuna Prince, Fairmont Orchid, Mauna Lani, and Waikoloa Resorts. If you were to keep heading south towards town, towards Kona, on the north side of town, that's where you'd find the Four Seasons, and on the south side of town is where you'd find the Sheraton Keauhou. Whee!
That's just bonus fun right there.
There you go, exactly. Good attitude. Then up the hill to your 10 o'clock is the beautiful town of Waimea. That's where you find the headquarters of the Parker Ranch. Because of its history with Parker, Waimea is very much a cowboy kind of town. Visit some of the shopping areas, they don't have stop signs. The signs say, whoa. Yeah. Well, we've covered an awful lot of ground. Really seen just a little bit more than half of the island. But we've seen the best of it. And a lot of what we saw rather, pretty tough to see on your own. The majority of the eruption in Kilauea and most of those valleys and waterfalls. So now if the rest of your time out here is just relaxing with a cold beverage in hand, you ought to feel no guilt. Just settle into aloha time. But sounds like you guys have ambitious plans, so I understand that as well. Tough decisions to be made. Waipio Valley, Green Sand Beach, Mauna Kea Summit. I'm sure you'll come up with the right answer. And whatever you miss will be there when you come back next time. Speaking of that, we'd love to see you all again someday soon. You'll find Blue Hawaiian bases on the Big Island, Maui, Oahu, and Kauai. Gotta put a plug in for the company. We do ask a favor of all of our guests, if you guys enjoyed yourselves, when you talk to your family and friends, please put in a good word. Please recommend us by name, okay? Blue Hawaiian. Thanks. It'll help ensure I never have to get a real job. The entire tour ends up on a DVD. It's going to have the scenery from the flight, all of our conversations, and the background music. So this little screen in front of you, that shows you what's going on the DVD. That's the right camera, the left camera, the front camera, the inside camera. Your movie stars. It's right up there, so if you want to smile or wave, there we go. So if you want to, you can pick up a copy inside when we get back. We have an e-guest book on the back lanai. We have customer comment cards inside, so if you want to leave a note, tell us what you thought. We always appreciate that. Just remember your pilot was Scott. Unless you had a lousy time, then your pilot was George. But Scott, if it was fun. You guys were great company. I really enjoyed showing you around the island, and thanks for all the questions and conversation. Obviously, you guys are having a wonderful time out here. I hope the last day goes well and safe trip back home, and it'd be great to see you again someday. All right, we'll be landing in just another minute or two. So I got to turn off the mics once more. Get ready for the approach and landing. And thanks again, everybody. Mahalo. That's how the Hawaiians say thanks. Talk to you all again in a moment or two once we're down on the ground.
On the beach in Hawaii, hey, I wish you were here with me, walking on the beach in Hawaii. Love is like the open sea, and I wish you were here with me. On the beach in Hawaii. Since you've been gone away, I think about you every day. Don't you know I miss you much? And you know I need your touch. I'm on a rocky cliff. Oh, I wish you were here with me. On the beach in Hawaii. A little Pocololo, and I say mahalo. Ujjayi breathing, to get the real feeling. Yogi gonna let you know that I wish you were here with me. On the beach in Hawaii. In Hawaii. I wish you were here with me. On the beach in Hawaii.
Welcome back. Alright guys, you can take off seatbelts and headsets. We'll get the doors. Thanks again.